here on our Impact TV. My name is Mudupe Jacobs and you are welcome to Tea or Coffee. I have Wuraola Popola here with me.
Yes, good morning.
Together we're going to do justice to the topic of today. No, we're going to do justice to the show for today. Yes.
Yes, so today is Tuesday.
Like
the two of us.
Yes.
Tuesday. And, we'll be talking, and for this morning, would
be gisting.
If that is the word, gisting, yes. We'll be gisting together. I'm sure, from the gist, you can pick one or two things that you will learn from, trust me. So how was your night?
My night was awesome.
Okay.
I slept. I woke up feeling strong, like a superhero.
I think the weather was in your favor, right?
I'm telling you. I'm so prepared for the interview for today because let's not forget we have a guest.
Yes, we have a guest coming in.
Yes, and then we have a topic for today.
Yes.
Do you want to say the topic?
No, I leave that to you.
Okay, so topic for today is empowering women for sustainable livelihoods. So we'll be talking about, empowering women because it's actually necessary, It's necessary for us to, empower women because of the, different cases and issues that we've seen in the society. It's important, that we talk about this and, do justice to the topic. That is why we have, should I say, an authority coming into the studio to
shed more light
on it. Yes, to talk about it. But before then, we'll be talking, we'll be gisting. And yes, you asked me about my nights. I've said mine. So how was your night?
Yeah, my night was short. It was pretty short because I had to prepare for today, and I have a lot of things on my table, and there is this thing about nights. It's usually calm. You're more relaxed.
Yes.
During the day, you're getting pressure. People are talking around, and activities are going on around you. But in the night, you're calm. You're relaxed. I'll be well organized. For me, I don't know about you, but for me, night does it for me.
Really,
I'm always usually organized and calm, relaxed while working at night, which makes my work actually faster and better.
You're more of a quiet person, like quiet environments. Not quiet person. Not
no,
quiet
you can't
person.
talk for me, right?
Not quiet person, because I know you like that. Not quiet person, but
she says she knows me. Now that got me.
Yes.
You know me, right? Oh, that's good. We grew up together, so that is how much you know me.
Oh yes,
Of course you don't.
Yeah, you're like my twin sister,
Oh, that's why it's just okay. And that's why it's Tuesday, I know, right? Okay, so I had to work on some things, I was on my laptop for 3 hours.
Hope you use your glasses.
Yeah, glasses. No, I didn't. I didn't use my glasses.
Okay.
Actually. So I had to work, and when I was done, funny enough, I was not looking for sleep. Sleep did not come. So I had to just do a few things again, getting my costume ready and everything. So, this morning
but that's amazing because
I
you
was
actually
going to wake up with eye bags.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. You look well rested. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so women empowerment. What is your knowledge about it?
Before we go into women empowerment, let us go on a break.
But I want to talk about it
and
now.
you talk about it, but let's go on a break.
No problem.
Okay, so let's go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about, empowering women for sustainable livelihoods. Stay glued.
A thrilling and bonding experience at High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort. Enjoy an amazing retreat in our extremely secured environment with our breathtaking rides. Set goals for the upcoming year in our convenient multi-purpose halls. Bond between team members while giving your staff a desirable treat. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
When you think about it, There's a lot to celebrate in our lives. From the smallest milestones to our biggest moments, we'll pamper you at High Impact Planet. Whatever the occasion, let's celebrate you at High Impact Planet, where fun just got real.
Okay, welcome back. It's still Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. You know, before we went on break, Modupe did not allow me land. She did not want me to talk about the topic. Probably she wants us to just say it now. And Modupe.
Yes.
Modupe.
Yes.
Modupe.
You call me three
Who
times.
does that, you know?
Mothers.
Yeah. Modupe, how many times did I call you? All right, so our topic today is women empowerment, empowering women for sustainable livelihood.
Yeah.
And before we talk about that, you know, today is Salah.
Yes.
The festive period. You know, I usually like this period because of Salah meat. No, not like I'm a foodie, but
No,
you know.
but you are a foodie.
How do you know that? Don't be too sure.
Okay.
You know, I think there was traffic this morning.
Yes, there was.
Yes, I think most people are actually traveling. And,
Yes,
you know,
to celebrate,
going to see
you know,
family
Salah.
members probably out of the state. Yes. How did you get to work this morning? Because for me there was traffic. I had to go past shortcuts and
I
try
had
be
to
at work
follow
early.
commercial, you know, buses. I had to use my car to just follow them because I didn't really know my way around the
following
shortcut.
those commercial buses at times, you have to be careful because there are places, their buses can be rugged. So there are places they can pass that your car, if you try it, oh God, if you try it, so you have to just be careful following those buses. But all the same, I can't wait to close from work and have my salami. I feel so excited about this salami, you know.
Okay.
No, now
you don't know why you're excited about salami. I am
excited
too.
because
I'm trying to.
It's not the normal chicken you get to eat every day. Meat. This one is ram,
And I'm trying to.
Ram
I'm
meat.
trying to contain my excitement.
Yes, but you know you can have fun. Today is public holiday also, right?
Yes.
You can have fun. You can go out, visit friends, but all the same, you have to be careful and be conscious of where you go to.
Yes.
And just be safe no matter what you're doing to have fun and enjoy yourself. Just be safe. Now, moving on to the topic for today.
Yes.
You know, most people actually mix up empowerment, women empowerment, with gender equality kind of jigget. They actually mix it up. Meanwhile, in my own opinion, I don't think they are the same. And that is why we have an expert that will be able to, you know, tell us the difference. So you don't, especially for, I think I want her to touch this feminist topic thing because that feminist thing has really brought up about so many controversies and I would want our guests to really talk about that. Yes. But what is your own idea of empowering women, women empowerment?
Okay, I feel it's necessary. I feel it's necessary to empower women because sometimes when, especially for married women, you know, it would be a good thing if they are empowered. They have skills that they can actually use to make use as a source of livelihood, you know, to support their husbands, to support their children. You know, they don't have to rely, because sometimes when the stress, the burden of having to pay for school fees, having to drop money for food is all on the man, on the husband. You get sometimes a little bit of trouble and argument that comes, you know, in between, and then some talks about how he is the breadwinner and, you know, the woman is not helping out, you get. So if women are empowered, especially married women, it will help the family, you know, help the husband, support the husband, support, you know, help in things that the children will need also. Yes, so I think it's important that women are empowered. You know, gone are the days when, you know, women are just relaxed in the house, you know, and, you know, doing nothing. And the good thing is now it's not even about, you know, having a 9-to-5 job.
Yes,
Being an entrepreneur.
Business,
yes, being an entrepreneur goes a long way. And then, you know, we have people that are successful from things, from skills they have that they've turned into money and all. So, yes, for me, it's important.
Okay, all right. You've heard from Modupe.
I'm not an expert on this.
When we bring our guests in, I'm sure our guests will do great justice to that. So stay tuned and stay relaxed as we'll bring in our guests. And I'm sure you don't want to miss out of today's episode. We'll be right back.
Walking into comfort in a safe environment is every family's dream. At High Impact Planet Resort, our fully furnished service apartment is a home away from home. Amazing views right in your luxurious world. Work out to keep fit for an amazing body at the gym. Get affordable groceries and personal care items at the supermarket. Feel relaxed and beautify yourself at the fully equipped spa. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
This is your tea or coffee on High Impact Television. And of course, my name remains Modupe Jacobs, and I have Ruraola Popola here with me. Yeah. Now, just before we went on that break, in as much as we tried to talk about the topic of today, which is empowering women for sustainable livelihood, you know, we have an authority here in the studio, you know, ready to do justice to the topic. So our guest for today is Tokunbo Ifaturoti, and she is the founder, Children, Youth and Women Empowerment Initiative, Chiyowo. You're welcome, Ma.
Thank you very much.
I love your hair.
Thanks.
And you look amazing.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So moving to what we have today. How did you start the initiative? Why women and children? How did you come up with that initiative? Because knowing that you're actually a lawyer by profession, and then moving into the NGO, how did you start the initiative?
I'd say, like you quite rightly pointed out, being a lawyer, you're always caring for people. You always want the best for people. You go to court to fight for justice for them. So I believe that came from that space as well. You know, I did a lot of family law, a lot of employment law, even though my background is actually technology law. But that spurred me on. And you ask, why women? I'll say, over a period of time, I've worked with both children, youth, and women. But I began to realize that when you work with women, you actually empower the household. So she has the power to take whatever it is that you teach her, expose to her, or train her back home. And it's not just for herself. She tries as much as possible to make sure that her children are okay, her husband is okay. And in most cases, the extended family, that's to the best of her ability. Moving on from that, and then that was in the United Kingdom. You know, I practiced law in the United Kingdom. But then the IDP broke out. You know, we had the instances of the Boko Haram insurgencies.
Yes.
And I had reached the peak of my career, and I was like, now what can I do to give back? Still in that space of nurturing and caring. And then the Chiyowo initiative came to bear. I chose women most especially because I saw lots of photographs and lots of pictures on CNN, on NTA, on all sorts of TV stations, and it was harrowing. It was harrowing because the women were helpless. So I came to Nigeria, and my first spot was to go to Abuja. We had some IDP camps in Abuja, and most of them were not recognized by the United Nations. But they were IDP camps. And my team and I, we began to interview women at most of the camps to find out, you know, how are you finding life in a foreign place? Because remember that most of them had to move from Goza, you know, in Borno, some from Adamawa. You know, how did you find your journey and how are you finding life here? And what was said to us at the time broke our hearts. We found out after carrying out needs analysis, we found out that some of them were teachers, some of them were nurses, some of them were farmers, and some of them were home and caregivers at home. And all that was taken away from them, and they found themselves in a foreign space. So we decided that our mission really at that point in time was to find out how we could design and implement programs and projects that will address and actually remove all these barriers impeding them from sustainable livelihoods, because what they needed more than anything, more than wanting to go back, was to be able to sustain themselves. So that's what gave birth to that. And our vision really is to try and make sure that every child in Nigeria, every woman and every youth really has the potential and ability to live sustained lives.
That's really a great vision, you know. All right, so how have you been able to help women have a sustainable livelihood, have something of their own that they can do?
Again, what we try to do is we apply what we call the bottom-up approach. So the bottom-up approach means you go into the grassroots areas and you interview people there. So you speak to the chiefs or to the heads of the families there, and then we cascade down and speak to the women. So we find out exactly what they want to do. So we don't go in and say, well, the current thing now is how to make soap. And so everybody has to learn how to make soap, because when you do that, you lose them. You don't know what their passions are, you don't know what their strength is, and you don't know what they want to do in the long run. So, you know, we have short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. And remember that the ultimate thing for them, especially those in the internally displaced persons camps, is to go back home. And when they go back home, we want them to be sustainable in their communities. So what we found out when we went to some camps in Abuja, I must tell you also that there are camps in Bakassi as well, in Calabar. We've been there as well. But when we went to, you know, the camps in Abuja, we found out some of the strengths. And we tried to provide what we call seed money to these women. So we found out that some of them like making kose. Kose in Hausa means akara, you know, the fried bean cake. Some like that. And I need to take you on a journey, because when these women are in their camps, they're not in special camps like the UN camps you see in Syria or some of the camps I saw in Borno. They're not those type of camps. They are in host communities. So somebody has graciously given them a piece of land. Yeah. And so what they do is they build what we call a bacha. So it's a piece of, it's wood, you know, and then they cover it with cement bags. Some of them are privileged enough to have the corrugated iron sheets, but most don't have that. So the ones with the cement bags, you know, when it rains and all that, you can imagine water is pouring in and all that. So I need to build that picture in your mind. Now, remember I said they live in host communities. The host communities also believe that they're entitled to something, because without them giving them space in their own space, they wouldn't be living anywhere. You know, so there's a need to manage the host communities and the IDPs. So if they say they like to make kose, remember that making kose is something that they can sell and get money back. And also, they have a ready-made market, because the truth is you need to have access to market and penetrate into the market. And the market really is not necessarily them, those that are in the camps, but the host community. So you get them selling the kose, you know, to them. There's a lady that loved making hats, you know, the hats that the men wear. So there was a market there for her as well, you know. So we gave her seed money to buy more of the thread and all that. And then there was a time we were there, and it was coming up to the Salah holidays and the festive period, and a lot of the women were looking sad, you know. They would have loved to be at home. And they said, oh, you know, we like, you know, sometimes I wear like beautiful beads like you guys are wearing. So, oh, we like, you know, these type of beads. We want to wear this for our festival. So I said, okay. So the team and I went off into the markets. We sourced beads, we sourced thread, we sourced everything, you know, that they needed to make this. And we went back, got a team to empower them, to show them from scratch. And you won't believe that out of the women, we had about 50 women to start off with. About 2 or 3 had actually been in that space before. So what we did was, when the trainer was training them, it was easy for us to have leads in the camp. And what was especially good about that was because when we left, and we left them with all these tools, when we were not there, these leads used their initiative to continue with the process. So what you're doing is you're empowering people to use their hands. You're enabling them to access a ready-made market, you know, for them, again. Then the people that had been exposed in that space before were now feeling empowered because they were using their skills to continue to train the women who were in the camp. So it's a cycle that, you know, we keep on building, and that is what has empowered most of these women.
You know, communicating with them, I'm sure you had language barrier. So how were you able to deal with that?
Okay, communicating with them wasn't too hard because I grew up in Jos, and so I can speak Hausa. So initially my Hausa was a little bit grainy, but you know, when you keep on speaking it, because I hadn't spoken, you know, Hausa in a long time, although I had friends who would from time to time try to bring something up. But when I found myself in this space that I knew that I had to deliver, and I had to carry my team along and made sure that they had to deliver as well, it became pertinent for me to use that skill, you know, and use that expertise in that place. And it opened doors for me. It made things much easier for me. So I could communicate with the chairman, I could communicate with the chairwoman, I could empathize with them. Because sometimes when you're explaining what you're going through, it comes out better sometimes in your native language, you know. So it opened our eyes to new paradigms. So even though we're talking about sustainable livelihoods and the empowerment of women, other things also came to the forefront, things like health, water, sanitation, education for the kids. These were desires also that the women also had that they wanted us to meet.
So you've actively supported, you know, selected internally displaced camps, persons camps in, you know, across Nigeria. So how, I'm sure there have been challenges that you faced, you know, how were you able to overcome challenges? And what are the challenges that you faced?
The challenges that we faced. Yes. Okay, I would say one of the major challenges we faced was raising funds.
Okay.
I think by the time we came in, a lot of NGOs had already saturated the space. And while some of the NGOs obtained donor, you know, funding from different foreign bodies and some internally, some NGOs used it judiciously towards the cause, and you could really see what was going on. Unfortunately, some didn't. And so when we came in at the time, we were the new kids on the block. So it was a bit difficult for us to access such funding. So what we had to do on the long run was I had to use a lot of my personal money to fund this, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to go back home at night and say, I helped this woman at least a little bit. I wouldn't be able to have started that process, and I needed to start the process. So after we started the process and people saw what it was that we were doing, you know, using social media, our website, and the TV as well, people cottoned on, you know. And so if we were going to any particular camp, we'd announce, we're going to this camp. If there's anything you want to give, be it food, drink, water, clothes, please do that. And from that, people started donating clothes and food. So sometimes, you know, you can't just wait for people to give. Sometimes people want to see, because of what has happened in that space, what you are doing. And then when the trust is there and they believe and they can see that that's what you're doing, then, you know, Bob's your uncle.
Okay.
All right. So, would you classify women empowerment as the same thing as gender equality?
I think for women empowerment is very, very wide.
Okay.
So under women empowerment, you can also have gender equality. It just depends on which phase you want to look at it.
Okay.
You see, gender equality is not just about women.
Okay.
It's about actually realizing that they're the two sexes and trying to see how we can work together so that there's equality. You know, and so one person is not being put down just because she's a female or he's a male. You know, so there's that. In terms of women empowerment, is actually trying to bring this woman out, nurture her desires, her aspirations, find out what it is that she wants, and then build something around her. Maybe it's business mentoring, maybe it's, you know, how to do the profit and loss sheets and all that, and nurture her and take her to that space so that she can continue to do what it is that she loves doing and get money for that.
Okay, so we've spoken about empowering women, youths, children in IDP camps.
Yes.
Now, do you have programs that you have designed for women that are not in IDP camps, just women generally that, you know, want to be empowered for one reason or the other?
Okay, for that space, what I'll say in that is we go for the youth. We go for the youth because the reason why we go for vulnerable women is because we believe that there's a need to strengthen households and there has to be economic empowerment for that. So that's why we go for that particular kind of woman.
Okay.
But for the other kind of woman you're talking about, which can also be, you know, a youth, between 18 and, I think some of the United Nations say up to 40, you know, can be a youth. What we do there is mentoring. So I belong to a couple of women's organizations whereby I volunteer my time and mentor young girls who are just graduating or in university and just provide them with skills. So if it's soft skills or hard skills or anything that they need that will enable them to get the kind of jobs that they want. Or if they're thinking outside the box and they're like, you know what, I finished my university. I don't really think I'm cut out for this 9-to-5 job. There's something else I'd like to do. So I love, even if it's beads, I love making beads. I love sewing dresses, you know, I love making bags. So we just go out and encourage young girls like that to find their passion as well and then begin to build on it.
Okay. All right. You got an award for Women for Africa, and you also established and registered your initiative since 2016. So, meaning you have a good experience of, you know, empowering women and touching lives. So, at what point can you say a woman is empowered? At what point can you say, okay, this woman can stand on her own and do things of her own without having to rely on anyone?
Now, when you say without having to rely on anyone, that's wide as well. Because what we try to say is we don't want to empower women and get them to a space whereby they say, you know what, I'm better than you. So therefore, you know, back off. You know, what we want really is a situation whereby if a woman is married, she appreciates what the husband is doing, what he brings to the table, and that's him. And then a woman herself is proud of what she is also bringing to the table, and both of them meet somewhere. So it's that mutual respect and appreciation. That's what we're looking for in that space. So in order for one to know if that woman is like now, you know, top notch, it has to come from her, because she is the one that has the initial desire to be whatever it is she wants to be. So for instance, if she loves making cakes, you know, and, you know, the first time she comes to, say, a workshop, she's being taught how to make a cake, and, you know, she's told, you know, the recipe and the proportions of flour, butter, sugar, raisins, and everything to put into it. And then she does it, and then the cake is as flat as a pancake. Then, you know, she's not ready. That's obvious that she's not ready. So she needs a bit more nurturing, she needs a bit more training. So, you know, 2 weeks down the line, you know, she's still doing that, and then you find out that the first cake she makes, well, the fourth cake she makes, yeah, you know, we can all dig into it, you know, and then the seventh cake she makes, you can actually sell it. So she knows that she's moved away from point A to point maybe C or B, whatever she you know she has planned for herself, and you know that maybe just needs maybe 2 more months for her to be able to sell to the big companies. You see what I'm saying? So, but we guide the team. My team guide people, but we allow the onus of being sure, 100% sure that they're ready to go out, that falls on the woman.
Okay.
That falls on the woman, yeah.
Okay, so you visited different IDPs camps, as I've said, and you need support to help these women, to empower them. You know, how do you get grants? How do you get the support that you need, you know, to empower these women, children and youth?
Okay, I'll give you an example of, and for me, you know, when I'm talking about sustainable livelihood, like I mentioned before, you know, it's eradication of poverty, it's also education, and whilst we try to empower the women, I know some people say, hey, what about the men and all that, but, you know, believe you me, if a woman is empowered and she cooks the banga soup, the man to eat from it, you know, and the children too, you know. But in that space, recently we did what we call a book drive.
Okay.
And the book drive, we went all across the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. And my team were very, very inspired, you know, by what they saw. And the books that we took were books that we sourced from the United Kingdom. So we have a partner outside here, you know, in the United Kingdom, called the Nigerian Schools Foundation. And then we also have another partner called The Big Secret. They have a board game. So these two people came together and sourced all these books for us from the United Kingdom. And we all managed to get the books down to Nigeria. So there was a sorting office out in London, you know. We went there, stamped all the books, made sure that the books were of good quality, made sure that the books were books that the kids in Nigeria could also read, you know, and benefit from as well. So we got the books shipped down here. And then we went all across Nigeria, you know, giving those books out. And what we saw was an eye-opener again to us, because it enabled us to see the quality of schools, the buildings, the teachers. There's a school that we went to, and this teacher, this was in Benin, I think, and the headmaster was finishing his tenure, I think his service in, and he said throughout his service as a teacher and head teacher, his children had never heard the word library. Or even had a library where they could borrow books from.
And he's the head teacher.
And he's a head teacher. Now, he didn't say this out of, you know, what's going on. He said this out of, he was pained that he was actually living that year, and that's when we came. It was something that he would have loved to be part of. So we went to Yobe, you know, in northeast Nigeria too. You know, people from the ministry came out, the head teachers, other schools too came. You know, the kids were ecstatic about the books that we were given. We also went to Oyo State, Osun State, you know. So what I'm trying to say here is this. When we talk about sustainable livelihoods, when the mother is doing her own bit, the children too have to do their own bit. And she has to be empowered and knowledgeable about how she needs to encourage her children to be able to do the same. And thank God for, you know, the Chiowo team. They have mastered the art. They know what it takes. They, you know, when you talked about the challenges, we went through all sorts to get to some of these places that we went to, you know. And they began to also appreciate the need for these books to get to the places that we got them to. So we anchor everything on the Sustainable Development Goals, which is Goal 4. That's for education, which is Goal 4. And thankfully, our partners, you know, every year now they've been running this, so we're doing one this year as well. We've donated some books. I'll give you a story. I was going to somewhere called, is it Moe? Moe, yeah. And I had to go in an Uber taxi. And I was chatting with the guy, the driver and all that, you know. And one of my team members too came to guide us because I hadn't been there before. And the driver said, sorry, ma, I just want to ask you, ma. I said, what is it? I hope we're not lost. He said, no, ma. I said, what's he? He said, I just want to ask, why are you coming into this interior? Why can't you do this, your book thing, you know, in the town in Lagos? Why are you going this? And so I said to him, I said, if the likes of us don't go there, how can we say that we're reaching children in hard-to-reach areas? How can we say we're touching lives? And how can we say we want the next generation to be able to lead Nigeria? How can we say that? So he said, it's true, ma, but ma, have you got life insurance? So? But those are the kind of things we see. We've gone into some areas that, I told you about the Calabar that we went to. Yeah, I mean, when I put some pictures up, some people were like, I hope you have typhoid injections against typhoid injections. Because the places that we went to, it was so difficult to get into those areas, but we knew we had a mandate, that we had to reach these people. We had to leave something. And one of the places that we went into, for me, it was my first time of actually seeing acute malnutrition. I'd never seen it before. And I saw a baby with a protruding tummy and all the... So sometimes it takes people like ourselves, and there are tons of NGOs too that are doing similar things out there that are trying to make a difference. It takes people like ourselves and our team, really, to go out and at least shine the light on these people living in these communities so that others can see what is happening. Some people can't go into those interior places that we go into. It's not that they don't want to, they're just not wired that way. But we'll be happy to give. And we'll be happy for you to report back and say, this is what we did with the money. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's good for everybody to know where their strengths lie. And as much as possible, try to give, just give back. Just tick something, on your bucket list that I did this. So that's the space that we work in.
All right. I'm sure all women want to be empowered.
Exactly.
They want to have something doing. So what is your idea of, you hear women say things like, I am a feminist, you can't bring me low, you can't, no, we have to occupy, we are entitled to occupy such positions too, and things like that. Meanwhile, they are getting it wrong. So what is your opinion about women being empowered such that it doesn't look like they want to seek power?
I think, like we said before, women being empowered, everybody sits down and has what we call a personal statement for themselves, Just like how a company would have, a business statement, Women need to get to a place whereby if they say they want to be empowered, they need to define what empowerment means to them. And they also need to understand what empowerment means globally. Because sometimes when you get it wrong, one can come across as being maybe slightly offensive, not knowingly. It's just that because we didn't understand the true definition. So, like we said earlier on, there's a space now whereby we're encouraging women to go into politics. Usually, when we think of politics, it's a men-dominated area, but now we want women to go in. And we're not looking at it as, because there's a man there, so obviously there has to be a woman. No, it's because women now have a lot to offer, and it's not even just now. Women from time immemorial have actually had a lot to offer. A lot of them fought for civil rights both here in America and across the world. Even if you look at Fela and Nicola Kukuti's mom, would say, yes, she was an activist, and we have tons and tons of that. So some women are silent, but they know how to use the pen. Some are vocal, and some you just need to just sit down with them and, have a like tea or coffee discussion over that with your hobnobs or biscuits. And you hear them talking about things that they can do, or you can now pass on to the people that be or the powers that be to make a change. So I wouldn't say all women are, like we want to show you men that no, what we're saying is that we have now over a period of time come into our own. We know what it takes to do certain things, and we want you to hear us because we can also contribute to the development of maybe a company or a country. We can do that, and women are nurturing. I was reading somewhere where someone said, if at least 80% of the countries in the world had women presidents, there would be no war, because women naturally would not want to go to war. They would want to sit down and say, what can we do to resolve this, So there's a space for that, and there's a space for women to be empowered. So when we are empowered, it's just we know who we are. So we're not going with two guns blazing or we want to fight or raising our voices just to be heard. No. We are empowered because we know our stuff. We know. So say, for instance, if you are a doctor, you just know it. in and out. Nobody can come and tell you otherwise. So when you're explaining to them that, no, you know, I've done my checkup and I know she has a sore throat, not a belly ache, nobody's going to come and tell you otherwise because you know you've done your checks and you have something to back it up. That's what we're talking about. So women are finding their voices, women are finding their feet. They did before, but now I think with the advent of social media and all that, you know, there's an echo now, which is, you know, reverberating all across. And I will really encourage women to keep it up. You know, keep it up at home, keep it up in their places of worship, keep it up in their offices, keep it up amongst their friends. And the truth is that a lot of companies are now looking for women, to employ women, because they not only bring that balance, but they also try as much as possible not to fail. So they go that extra mile to make sure that, you know what, I've got to show my boss that I can do this, I'm better. You know, I can, you know, return on investment high. You know, so those are things that we're looking at now as saying, when we say women empowerment. You know? So right from the grassroots level up to the boardroom, that's what we're talking about.
But you know, we still have women that their husbands are doing marvelously well. You know, have the capacity to take care of the family, take care of them, the children, handle everything. They don't even need to move a muscle or work. You know, do you think that there is still a need for such a woman, you know, to get empowered?
To get something doing.
So remember again, we said it comes from within.
Okay.
There are some women that want to be kept women. You can't know how, no matter how you swing the cat, they just want to be kept women. And it comes from somewhere. And that's why sometimes you don't look down on such women. I tell you why, because some women have gone through so much. Maybe when they were growing up, maybe they saw the way the father treated the mom. Maybe they were denied of certain things. Maybe they longed for certain things that they just couldn't get. And they vowed within themselves that, you know what, the best that I'm going to do is to make sure that my home is spick and span. My kids, when they come back from school, I'll make sure that they do their homework, their A in school. And make sure that before my husband gets home, his food is ready. She might not be the one cooking, but, you know, supervising, make sure that everything's... And then when my husband has to go for his meetings or travel abroad or what have you, I'll be by his side. So until we speak to such women and find out where they're coming from, it's difficult to say whether it's right or wrong. However, for me, if I come across somebody like that and we're having a tea and coffee discussion, what I'll say is, good, well done. But there comes a time when the kids will fly the nest. The kids will go, you know, probably get married and they're off. So it's just you and your husband. What do you still intend to be doing? And I always encourage women, I don't force women, I just encourage them to think about the things that they like. Do you like painting? Do you like talking? Do you like encouraging? Some people in their places of worship, as soon as somebody says, something has happened, they're there to advise. So there's this skill, there's an expertise somewhere hidden there. So is that something that you want to build on? Do you want to go and get professional training and harness that? So that when the house is empty, you're not just sitting there watching telly. Because the truth is that, excuse me, your husband probably, as you said, can provide for the family and all that. Maybe on the side he's playing golf. Or he has a sport that he loves. You know, excuse me.
Yeah, you should
Can I
take
take
a
my
seat.
Okay, then. I'm taking a sip of my tea or coffee.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
so
welcome.
the husband has probably got something that he's doing on the side. So when he retires, he's going to continue doing what he's doing because he's done that over the past 20, 30, 40 years. But the woman has always been at home looking after the kids who have left the house. So I encourage women, if it's gardening, you know, get your trowel, get your shovel, you know, get somebody, learn about horticulture, know about the kind of flowers that grow in different seasons, you know, do that. If it's painting, get an easel, get a paintbrush, get some paint. Just begin to, you know, just do something. If it's knitting, start knitting because you can knit for your kids, you know, your grandchildren. But I always say, find something to do because the brain and the mind starts shutting down at a particular time if you don't keep on using those cells. Yeah. And then the mind also starts playing all sorts of games again. Okay, so he's gone out again to play golf. So when he comes back, the food that you were cooking before, you're no longer cooking it. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the mind has been idle.
Yes.
So I encourage women, you know, form, like 3 of us can form a ladies chat group, you know, maybe every Saturday we meet up or we go to the club, play badminton or squash or something, but always find something to do.
Okay, so as a woman, there's always a skill you can build in you.
That's what I think, though. I think so because, you see, right from when we were young, you know, okay, when you wake up, the first thing you have to make your bed. That's a skill, you know, you master it. When your mom is cooking in the kitchen, you're not supposed to be sitting down watching TV. You're supposed to be standing there. So there's something you have, even if it's just you know how to make a foriro. There's something. You know, what some people even do is, you know, nowadays, people just, if they're skilled in making like stew or something, they just call their friends. If you don't want to cook it, I can cook a pot. All you need to do is just pay me X, Y, Z. People do that now, you know, and people are putting all sorts of things on social media. You know, is it a pot of honey? They've decorated it. They're selling. So find something to do. There's always a skill. Some people it might even be the makeup. You know, so you're going to a party and you just call 3 of your friends, you know, just do so. And if they're so rich and they don't need the money, it's the fact that there's pleasure and gratification in what you're doing. It spurs you on.
So our time is fast spent, but I just want to ask this last question. So for you, in your own words, why do you think, you know, empowering women is important?
I think, in my own words, I think empowering women is important because women leave a legacy.
Okay.
I think the woman, no matter how you swing it, the children tend to look up to their moms and see what their moms are doing. So the girls want to emulate what mom is doing, and the boys will go on to marry somebody that is almost like mom. That's if they really love what mom is doing. So I think women should always empower themselves because people around them are looking at them. And just as we talked about, from the boardroom, from the grassroots to the boardroom, there's always a space where women can find themselves, slot themselves in and begin to excel. But they can only do that if they have at least an iota of being empowered in the first place, somebody that they've looked up to. So I'd say look for mentors that are in your own space because they also can empower you to become the woman that you want to be.
All right.
So what would be your advice for every woman out there watching?
My advice is have a vision, have a dream, quickly do a SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Just do that, a personal one for yourself. And once you've done that, find out what your niche is and begin to, step by step, begin to build blocks to make your voice heard, to make you known, not shouting, but with authority because you know what you know.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tokunbo Ifaturo T. It's been amazing talking to you. I must say I've learned a lot. So aside, being, on air and presenting, I should have a skill or two that I'll learn and I'll build on. Yes. So thank you very much once again for coming. I hope next time when we call you, you will oblige us.
I will, of course.
It would be a pleasure to have you around once again.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So that's all we have for tea or coffee today. I hope you've taken notes and learned a lot because I have learned a whole lot of things. Okay, my name remains Mudukwe Jacobs and
I am Wuraola Popola.
And join us same time, same station tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye for now.